let's perhaps kick off with doing a quick intro of you guys, the company years in the industry and the key titles produced, and maybe where your company's at now.
Okay, so my name is Gabby, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Altitude Games. Started it in 2014. I've been making games since 2003, mostly out of Manila. Our last game released was Dream Defense, which is like a casual arcade game, a little bit of like good tower defense elements, and we released that last October last year.
Okay, check. Hi, my name is Arief. I'm from Agate Studio. We are a game company based in Indonesia, Bandung actually. We started back then in 2009. We do entertainment game like from the flash-based game, social game, now going to the mobile free-to-play space. And then we also do game for corporate like training game, education game. Yeah. Now we are around 100 people team in Bandung. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Desmond. I'm co-founder and CEO of Appxplore, based in Kuala Lumpur. We founded in 2011. It's been 6 years now. So far, we have developed about 8 games to date, and main focus is on the Google Play and App Store platforms. And currently, we have a team of 20 only. Yeah, that's pretty much.
All right, thanks. So today, what we'll be covering is the game plan in 2016. If it really played out like it was meant to, and then the game plan for 2017 and some of the key learnings that they've had. But before we go to that section, we'll do a bit of the hype stuff, right? Because we're all talking about VR and HTML5. So we'll just get a quick word from these guys in terms of whether they think VR and HTML5 is, whether it's taking off, and are they doing anything about it at all? So, Gabby, you want to take it away?
Quick answer is no.
Oh, okay.
So no for both. We're kind of focused on mobile and free-to-play now, and we want to get really good at that.
Because we have a big team, we're doing almost everything. So yeah, VR, we do it. HTML5, yeah, we do it. But mainly VR for B2B, because the retail, I think it still needs time to take off.
For us, we focus very much on the basically the content, right? The game itself. For us, where the platform's ready, and we go where the platform is ready. So for VR loans, we've been observing and a bit conservative and skeptical about the trend and all that. But recently, if you look at the data, there are games that make very good revenue, like Job Simulator. I think they make like 3 million sales on Oculus alone. So we really believe there's a potential, and in fact, we actually going to kickstart a small project this year, mainly starting on the mobiles VR sector.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. So let's move to the game plan and the strategy for 2016. So, Gabby, you want to share a bit with us about your game plan for 2016 last year and if it worked out?
Sure. So we do 2 things at Altitude Games. So the first one is that we release mobile free-to-play games on a worldwide basis. And last year we published that ourselves. And then secondly, we work with our investor Surpass, who has the Woot booth there outside, to work with games tailored to the business model in the Philippines. So that one is working out quite well because we know the market very well. Surpass knows the market very well, and they know how to charge players in the Philippines. For free-to-play, it's a constant learning experience for us. So we released 2 games last year. So Zodiac Pop was a casual bubble shooter, and then Dream Defense is like casual like tower defense game that we released in October. So I guess the biggest lesson for us is that it's really hard right now to self-publish if you can't power through with the marketing spend. So for Zodiac Pop, pure organics, we probably got something like 300,000 downloads, and for Dream Defense, it's maybe 1.6, 1.7 million downloads. So it's not bad, but as a business, it's actually it's hard to sustain without consistent marketing, and you cannot really rely on sustained featuring from Google Play. Although, of course, you try to plan and try to get those without a good marketing budget right now. I think the market is getting harder for self-published developers.
So how has that then affected the strategy for 2017?
Okay, so at the core, we still want to make like really high quality IP. create the whole thing ourselves and prove that we have the talent to make some of the best mobile and free-to-play games. But this year, we've decided to partner with some really good publishers. Some of them we've been talking to for a long time, and then some of them are probably quite new conversation-wise. And just prove that, like with a partnership where a publisher can bring all of the, I would say, infrastructure that was discussed in the last panel, analytics, cross-promotion, user acquisition, all of those that we're probably not that good at or we lack completely, and we focus on building a really solid product. And that's what we want to do this year. It doesn't take away the possibility of self-publishing again in the future, but I think for this year, it's what we want to do.
So to sum up briefly, the initial direction was as a developer and self-publisher, and then after pushing out two of the games that did reasonably well, you sort of moved into a model where you're developing and working with a publishing partner and still focused on key markets, tier one, sort of US.
Yeah, still key markets, and we'll continue to do the publishing in the Philippines with Surpass, and that's going pretty well.
Okay, thank you. Arief, do you want to share a bit more about your side of the story?
For the strategy in 2016, maybe I will focus on the entertainment games part. In short word, I think it's a total failure. Like in 2016, we do like 3 strategies for the entertainment games. The first one is that we're building premium games, like a school RPG games, targeted to launch last year, should be. The second one is that we build a lot of casual games for Indonesian market. The goal is to get a lot of DAU, because the casual game that we build, we are partnering with a very, very popular celebrity in Indonesia with the hope that we get a lot of downloads and then we could maintain the users. And the third one, we built mid-core games and planned for a global launch last year, and the mid-core game is based on our successful title previously. It's a football-based game. So the first strategy is actually delayed. We expect to build a premium game for like 12 months, but it actually it takes like more than 20 months. So that's a miscalculation on that part. The second one is for the casual game. Actually, we secure a lot of partnership with a very, very popular celebrity. We even work with the president's son. When we launched the game, the download is there, it's very, very good, but the monetization is not there. So in general, that strategy is a very, very big loss. And then the third one is also, after that, we will not do a lot of casual games anymore. For the mid-core games, because we do the football game based on our previous title is on web-based game. It's have a very, very good metrics. Like, for example, the day 1 retention is more than 40%. Day 7 is 22%. Day 30 is 8%. And then conversion rate is, in average, is 7%. And in the best month, it's like 11%. So the web-based game is very good. But when we move it to mobile, it's becoming very, very bad. Even though when we do the global launch, we get like 500,000 downloads, the retention is not there. The day 1 retention is only 30%. Day 7 is really, really total bad, like 7%. And then monetization is less than 1%. So it's the main problem with that games is that session time. In web, every player okay to have like in average 10 to 15 minutes session time, and when we port it to mobile, we try to like reduce the session time to like 6 to 8 minutes, but it's still too long for mobile players. And then the second problem is that action. In web, because usually people play while they are doing something else, so they do all type and everything. So a game with a lot of waiting is okay, but in mobile, it's not good. We need to do a lot of action in every session, in our short session time. So that's a 2 big mistake that we just learned, and then yeah, that's the failure of 2016.
So something that Ken was saying in the previous session was a lot of people were playing at work because they're a little bit distracted and probably slightly depressed at work, and the alt-tab thing worked. So did you find that with Fantasy Star, the football game, most of the players who were playing online didn't translate to the mobile version? Is that
Yes, because most of our users are mainly like office users. So when they play when they're in the office, so they could alt-tab or maybe at home. But when they play in mobile, mobile is a single tasking platform, so we cannot do multitask. For example, if I play the football games and then there's a WhatsApp message come, then I will switch to WhatsApp. So if the session time is too long, then it's a problem for the games. They cannot enjoy the game before, yeah, they understand.
Cool. Okay, so then how has that, so having had some failures in 2016, and you've sort of acknowledged the failures in some of the products, so how did that then guide the product development for 2017?
Yeah. So now in terms of strategy, we don't do casual games anymore. So we're now focusing more on the mid-core games because casual game bet is very, very risky. in terms of like capital investment, casual game is actually very small. So that means like everybody could do it. So we are competing with kind of like everybody. So that's a very, very risky investment. So we do more mid-core with need higher investment. Then yeah, we iterate on that. And now we are more focusing more on a game like with a synchronous multiplayer, that kind of direction. And then more 3D graphic and for a global market. And then we still doing our premium games. So that's the basic direction. Yeah.
Understand. So you're moving away from casual games. You're moving to mid-core, focusing on premium games, and then okay, understand. In terms of partnering, you're still looking at self-publishing. Are you looking at partnering with other people to publish in different territories? What's the strategy there?
Actually, we are always open for partners, but initially we want to make sure that the game is good first. So we will do the soft launch by ourselves. Like we'll pick a specific country and then gain some users, see the metrics. If the metrics are already good, then we are looking for partners, especially for like specialized country like Japan, China, Korea.
So have you, like, I think for Gabby's games, you found that the reception was quite strong in the US and Europe?
Yeah, it was pretty good for Western markets. That's right.
So for Arief, have you noticed that your games do better in any territories?
Obviously, the best performance, like Indonesia, is still one of the best performance because we are there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't yet seen another country that could compete with I think US is also big for the football games.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to check on that.
Okay. And then we'll move to Desmond. Do you want to share a bit about 2016? What was it like going in?
Okay, for 2016, I would say have been the same game plan all the while since day one, like when we started 2011. Is basically to sustain or keep the company alive and find your next success, right? The success title. So we've been doing that for the past 5 years up until last year. So that's pretty much the same gameplay. Day one, every game, trying to find the success. So we actually have our biggest success so far last year, 2016. So it's right before Q3. So we had a game actually have a pretty good hit. Come to download number, we have 3 million download, okay, but in terms of retention and monetizations and all that, it's doing quite well. So that actually enables us to, or allows us to have a different game plan, after Q3. So otherwise we'll be continue, and we've been pretty persistent and trying to find the next big hit. So with that, I wouldn't say we're going to change the game plan, but we want to grow the game plan, right? So we're going to grow, and then basically what our key learning pretty much is how we're going to utilize that and leverage on the success and grow the company.
Yes.
So they're pretty much our biggest challenge last year. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess to sum up, you sort of found the formula with the game with Crab War after the third quarter, right? So does the growth plan then look like for 2017? In terms of
so 2016 is when we have the success games, Crab War, and from there we actually going to leverage on the existing success, right? Instead of reinventing a wheel, we probably going to leverage on the similar formulas, and then hopefully we can find the next one. And that again, if we get another success, and that will allow us to grow bigger. And at the moment, we pretty much focus on that one. But 2017, we will be launching another new games title, another clicker games. And beside the clicker game, we also going to focus a bit on, I think we brought this up earlier, on the VR, mobile VR. Okay. And then perhaps the HTML5 as well.
Okay. Yeah. Perhaps we can talk a bit about publishing then, because for Gabby was going to work with key partners in US and in the Western markets. Arief was still sort of going to do self-publishing first, and that was the strategy. What about for Appxplore? What was your strategy?
Okay, for us, I think again from day one we always believe in building a brand. So we have tried that. We have tried to work with publishers, and there's a cons and pros, we learned that, and then also at this stage, because organically most of our user base are US and Europe's, and it actually make more sense for us to actually self-publish our games. So if possible, we want to publish our games, from now onward. I mean, we've been doing that. But unless there's a territory that we cannot penetrate, for example, Japan, Korea, China, and where you actually have to rely on partners. But otherwise, we pretty much just self-publishing now. Yeah.
Okay, understand. Cool. So I guess that covers the game plan for 2016, and then what does it look like for 2017? So I guess how do you've gone through quite a bit. Maybe you want to elaborate a little bit more about the games and some of the key learnings. Perhaps you can pick a game and some of the learnings that you had from one of those games. So anyone want to start first?
Okay, so I'll start with Dream Defense. So we released that in October and had a pretty strong launch on iOS. So this was around... Actually, Android one released first. This was last week of October, and then iOS released 2 weeks later. So what we saw was that for iOS, you see a very strong initial launch, and we got lucky because we got featured in US, and even though I think the feature was only 1 day in the US, we actually got up to like number 17 downloaded game on iPad and number 30 something on iPhone. And the following week, we had another feature from China. So it was like having a two-week feature from Apple, which like we had never experienced before. And that was really good. For Google Play, it was different. The initial launch we had was, I would say, weaker than the iOS launch. But then the sustaining downloads and revenue that we got from Google Play for that game was stronger. One of the key lessons we had was that there were features for the game that we hadn't fully developed yet, that weren't ready by the time we launched. So we had these in the subsequent updates. And it's hard to release a game where it's just the basic gameplay there and not everything you want is there. But we were running up against like the end of 2016, which is really bad because if you publish something between like Thanksgiving to, I would say, end of December, you better have a really strong brand or lots of marketing money because you'll just get rolled over. And even Apple was advising us that if you couldn't launch like after November 15, just avoid the rest of the year completely, and just release the next year. So we wanted to release before the end of 2016, and we were able to. But like some of the features, like there's a skin gacha that we had for the bear, and then there's endless mode that we had for like sort of a multiplayer mode with leaderboards. Those didn't make it in, and I think the sustaining revenue suffered a bit because the early users that saw our game, some of them had churned already before we got those improvements in.
Just a question, did you do any UA or did you rely purely on the features and organics?
We did small amounts of UA, that really more on just soft launch, getting data, seeing how users performed. And then making changes based on that. But since we launched, and we launched right before holiday season, we didn't do any paid acquisition.
Thank you. That's actually a topic that we might cover, or you may want to cover in this, is that do you do UA or do you just rely purely on the featuring from the stores? So Arief or Desmond, you want to go next? Yeah.
Actually we also do UA, and we have like different states of UA for like testing UA. It's mainly we want to get a very targeted market UA, and when the game's already doing good, like we already have a certain amount of LTV, we just maintain the UA like below the like around 70 to 50% of LTV.
So you want to share a bit of the game? So which game was?
Yeah, I think earlier I'll share about our mid-core football games. The biggest mistake that we have there is one is session time. I think after that we realized that for mobile mid-core free-to-play game, the session time have to be at least people could enjoy the game in 3 minutes of one session. And if people want to play more, then it's okay. But 3 minutes is like the maximum amounts of session time. And the second one is that we need to incorporate more action in the 3-minute session. People cannot just watch the whole games. Yeah, that's the key learning. And then we also realized when we built a lot of casual game for Indonesian market that in the emerging country, file size of the game is really matters. Like if we publish a game that with 30 megabytes file size compared to 20 megabyte with less than 10 megabyte, the amount of download could triple with the same promotion amount.
So what was the file size? Disclaimer: I am a player of. I'm number 40 in the world of that football game. But what was the file size for that game? The
For
football
the
game?
Fantasista, I think it's pretty big, like 200. And, initially it's 70, and then in game you need to download like more like 150 megabytes. So in total it's like 200 megabytes. And then compared to our casual game that only like 22 megabytes, yeah, the number of download is very with the same amount of promotion, like same feature, yeah, it could like triples of the download.
So what is the plan for that specific game? Are you continuing? Are you sort of pulling back?
Even though we know that people love to download very small file size game, but those kind of people is not the one that pays now. So if you want to make a long-term investment, it's good to invest on those people. But if not, it's okay to go to the file size like 70, 100, yeah. Because those kind of people have a high-end, more high-end phone, they are willing to pay. So now we are going to the more high-end.
Okay, well, I must say, again, it's a crab ball that we have a big success last year. So it have evolved quite a bit since we launched it last March, I think, a bit more than a year ago. So from version 1, and we released it, and we got some very good tractions, mainly because I think it started off because Google and Apple features our games. No, actually, Google's first feature our games on App Store, on the Google Play Store. So we got a pretty good download number, and from there, it actually shows some pretty promising result. So, but that alone is not good enough. So from there, we really see the potential there. So we actually spend a lot of effort into improving it. Starting from how we can improve the retention and engagement and whatnot. So I think there are a few important upgrade versions. There's one that we actually improve on the monetizations, mainly on the special packs, like starter pack and all that. So we realized that the starter pack actually is a very good tactic to engage user. So give them a richer pack that they get them to invest a little in the game, and then they'll continue to invest, hopefully. So that's one of the tactics. And then and on top of that, when it comes to user acquisitions, we didn't really spend much yet. Our best bet still on featurings on Google Play and App Store. Having said that, we have to make sure the game quality is very good, actually, to meet all the requirements, so that we can get features. So that's pretty much our first, best bet. And beyond that, we also, of course, spend on marketing, mainly on the user engagements, like promoting on our Facebook and whatnot. But we didn't really spend too much on the CPI, because when the game itself doesn't reach that ARPU, and it really doesn't make sense to invest in the CPI, because it's just too expensive this day. So that pretty much how we started, and then from there we keep improving the games, and then adding localizations. Up until today, we have about 6 languages now, and we're still adding it. So those are the things that we take on Crabwall last year.
So just a question, your marketing, it wasn't spent on CPI, it was more spent on Facebook likes to boost that community. Is that what was the...
Well, we have our small internal teams doing all that. Mainly, again, building our brand, Appxplore, as a whole. And then, of course, we have our Facebook, Crabwall Facebook page, dedicated page. So we run promotions, and then you know how Facebook now, you basically have to pay to boost, to engage the user. So those are things that we spend quite a bit. And every single update that we have, we tend to spend some money to post it. And we also spend some money on influencer now, especially on the YouTubers. But we don't really spend too much on CPI, because, again, it's expensive. But more on the engagements, yeah.
So maybe I just have one question, and we'll go back this way from Desmond. In this earlier, I think yesterday, there was a big talk on rewarded video. So how much of that has featured in the revenue for the games that you've published?
Right. I mean, ever since there's a video rewarded videos, and for Crabwall alone, because when we designed the game, we actually leverage on that rewarded thingy. So he actually designed around that incentive-wise video. So for Crab War, we have about 60% on IP in the purchase, and 40% are from the advertisements. Yeah.
Given that it's a clicker game, how do you have such strong IAP purchases?
That have to thanks to the team. So the team actually cracked their head and really, I mean, when you see the some potential there, you really have to find out, look at the data and really find out what are things that we can improve. And then, like say, we have several updates, especially when the player have finished certain stage and they need to, you have to find a way to consume them again, right? So you have to put in more, I wouldn't say level, but more on the in-depth features so that they can continue. Yeah, those are things that we keep improving until even today. We're still working on the new features on Crab Wars.
Gabby.
All right, so for Dream Defense, it was around 2/3 ad revenue. So we knew from the start that we wanted strong ad revenue in the game, so we kind of designed the game around it as well. And you can watch a lot of ads in the game, and they're all rewarded videos, so it's all opt-in. But I think we really reward the player in a way where they want to watch the video themselves.
In terms of implementation, actually something, because I have played Crab War quite a bit, I noticed that the very, very hectic points in slotting in the rewarded video there, you times X number of currency, and then, so perhaps it's that motivation that makes the player really click through that rewarded ad more, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if this has something to do with the genre or the type of game and the type of urgency with which you encourage the player to click on the rewarded video. Arief, have you had much experience with that? Because you have Juragan Terminal that is a clicker game.
Yes, for most of our casual game, like majority of the revenue is from the ad revenue. We have one game, the Upin Ipin one, it's like 95% is ad revenue. But for Juragan Terminal, I think we have like 60% ads and 40% in apps.
40% in-app for the Indonesian market.
Games, for the Indonesian market.
That's pretty interesting.
The most popular things that people buy is actually it's the cheapest. It's the $1 lifetime boost. Yeah, people always buy that.
What kind of CPMs are you seeing for the Indonesian market?
CPM for ads or?
Yeah, for rewarded video.
I don't know. Sorry, I need to ask.
No, that's okay, because the reason I ask is that like Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, we see like something like 60 cents to $1. So it's actually hard to make a lot of money just from very low CPMs as compared to a game that will do well in Germany or in US.
Actually, we are quite thankful that most of our game actually get popular in the US and Euro markets. So most of our user base are from there for some reason. So we monetize quite well there, especially when it comes to eCPM. In US, Europe alone, sometimes we get about $10 and above. And we are actually quite surprised that recently in China, our game got featured in China, and it got quite a bit of download.
Yeah,
and the
China iOS could have very high.
eCPM is so high. It's like higher than US now. It's like $25 eCPM. Yeah.
We've seen that as well.
Cool. So, all right. So we've covered the game component. Now we have just one last question for the panelists before we open it up. So they've all been in the games business for a long time, and in the audience we have some CEOs, some operators within the company. So perhaps we can have one. I think it was one takeaway that you have for other founders of game companies that you've learned from running the company so far. It's a big question, but you feel free to answer however you want to.
All right, so I've been making games for 14 years, and you see stats that say that probably 90% of games don't make money, but if you look at the really good game developers, I mean, most of them maybe have something like 10% success rate. Derek, how many games did you make before you came up with Flippy Bottle? 9. So let's say Derek has a 10% success rate. So you think he's not very good, right? But he managed to find this 10% success rate within how many months? Within 2 months. So it was really good for him. He actually found this hit very well. But even someone who's as good as that, over 10 million downloads, your success rate is actually very low. And for the people who have survived in this industry, you can see that people don't get attached to their projects too long. They get to kill their projects and move on to the next one, because the success of any single game is never guaranteed. So don't put yourself in a position where everything, like the life of your company, just hinges on your next game being a hit. Especially for developers that may not be like so savvy marketing wise, or don't really, or you push the upload button and then like you think, okay, now what? Maybe I'll answer some forum questions, maybe I'll go on Steam, maybe I'll post on Facebook. That all needs a very a thorough plan. And even if you have a publisher working with you, you really have to think these things through and not make it someone else's job to make money for your game. We have a saying that we have in a company, it's either you're rich, you're getting by, or you're dead. And the goal is to not be dead, because you'll never know when you'll get rich.
So is it like surviving, so you have enough chances, enough dice rolls so that you can...
Yeah, surviving, getting better, and trying to stack the odds like a little bit more in your favor every time. So if you're doing what everyone else is doing and feel that you may be the lucky one, you have to probably rethink your strategy. So earlier in the panel, I talked about how we have a relationship with our investor Surpass, and we're making games for the Philippine market. That's because we have a very good business model in that market, which gives us revenue that enables us to iterate on our free-to-play games.
So it's a bit like a hedge, right? You're hedging revenue and...
Yeah.
Thank you. Arief?
I think for us, the key is persistent. When we started in 2009, at that time, there is no game, like very, very small game industry in Indonesia. And when we start, we just a college student. We don't have any experience. We don't have any capability. And we just like the worst game developer, I think, in the world. And then what really make us until now is that the persistent and we are always keeping our underdog mentality, that we know that we are not good enough, that we need to learn from every mistake that we make, and we even like go to the extent that we celebrate failure. Like for example, like the Fantasista, the football game, when they launch, and then we see the numbers after 2 months, and it's clearly a failure. We cut off the project, we move the team to the next project, but internally we celebrate like very, very happily. Yeah, because we have a good milestone that we, because it's one of our biggest game investment. Yeah, so we need to really celebrate it. And I think the key is always persistent, and how you improve yourself in every failure milestone.
Actually, in the interesting thing that crosses over with what Gabby was talking about not being attached to the product and the project cycle. And with you, the sort of 2 months into Fantasista, you decided, all right, cut off. So that trait plus the persistence and survival seems to be the common thread so far. Yes, Desmond?
I think to us, it's from day one, is also persistent. So if you look at our portfolios, we only have 8 games for the past 6 years now. So averaging is about 1 to 2 games per year. So if you ask everyone, it's very slow. But at the same time, you have to respect it because we have a small team to start with. But we have to make sure that every game that we churn out, because we are building a brand as well, like I said earlier. So it's very important that to give an impression that every game that we develop and produce and publish is very high quality. And whether make money or not is another story, right? But from the front end, you have to show to your player that we are a good studios. Yeah. So that's pretty much what we've been focusing on.
A question I would like to ask both of you, because both of you mentioned persistence, which I think is a virtue, but it's not a strategy. And I think the way that both of you have found your success so far have been very different. Desmond more on just singular focus, and Arief more on like just extreme diversification. So can you talk more about that and see just how the different paths to success go?
For us, I think I would say, again, for myself, I pretty new to the game industry. I started 6 years ago and have zero experience. And I'm glad that I actually found my partners who actually have the experience and very focused and very good in the production side. So we've been working together very well. So for us, I think I believe in the team, right? I can do myself, right? So So for us, we basically, my partner actually in charge in internal, so he very focused on the production, and I try my best to give him a peace of mind so he can focus what he do best. And for my role, hopefully, help on the marketing, and as a producer role, you want to really give a peace of mind to your development team. And if we are running, even if running out of cash or financially and all that, you have to figure it out, right? And that's something that we do pretty good so far, I think, yeah. And that really helped us to to grow.
Maybe in our case, it's I don't know how to say it. We are kind of like try all the opportunity, and we are very, very diverse. I think why we are able to do that, because we have 18 co-founders, so we have enough resources to be split and not focused. Yeah, maybe that's the things for our case, I think, and we kind of get lucky.
I have a question. So, how many founders are there in the audience, just out of interest? Founders, CEOs included, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, okay. Cool.
All of you are less than Arief and his founders combined.
So, perhaps any questions or any highlights from any of the founders in the audience? We have some veterans in the audience as well, so feel free. Any questions in general? It's a good panel.
So, game development, game publishing is a very competitive business. Do you think that there's something that each of your companies can do better than anyone else in the world? Is there something unique you think you can bring to the table? And is that part of your strategy?
Okay, I'll start with us. The strengths of the founders have always been in the more casual genres. That said, like going deeper into free-to-play, you see a lot more like mid-core, core elements coming into casual. So while our experience is in the casual gameplay, and we're very good at that, so we're learning at the same time to add these more core experiences to add on to the casual gameplay we know very well. That and everything that we do at Altitude Games is just top-notch art.
Okay, it might be pretty long, but in our philosophy of the company, we are a big fan of a book called Built to Last from Jim Collins. And we also have a very, very bad experience when we start the game industry. At the beginning, we entered the Flash industry, and when we started to become one of a very, very good Flash game developer with a lot of awards, the Flash game crashed. And then when we moved to the social gaming industry with Facebook and everything, when we started to be the number 3 in the country, the industry crashed. And then we go to the premium mobile, and we started to get a good publishing deals. The industry crashed. So we always
I see a trend here.
Yes. Yeah, and we also work with Nokia. We built a lot of game for them with expecting the Lumia is successful. No, it's crashed also. So we've been in that position too many, and then we think that the best investment to make is the long-term part of the investment. So in the publishing side, our strategy is, the first one is we build a team that have a capability to do a very, very effective UA. It's not just it's not local optimization, but it's a global optimization. If we do local optimization, how to A/B test the ad so that 1.1 CPI becoming 1.05 CPI, it's very good, but we need to do more than that. Because the CPI is always increasing, that's the first one. The second one is that we need to build a distribution channel. Another distribution channel that we could easily tap in and less expensive. And then the last one is that we really want to engage with the user and build a real fan base, not depending on the channel, especially like Facebook group. It's a very, very fake interaction, I think, yeah.
Well, for us, I think Mario from Pipok, I've listened to your talk previously, and I agree every single slide you say, because it's pretty much just a mirror of us. Of course, you guys have 20 years experience, and we are pretty new. So we still finding that the uniqueness of us, and we're still learning. So yeah, that pretty much. Again, there's so many things that we can explore. I think for us, our strongest part is the small team. We can deliver high quality games. Yeah.
I actually have a question on that. That's a follow-up to that, because it seems like because our industry the cycles change so fast, right? So the unique thing doesn't actually last very long, right? Just out of interest, it sort of, because like with Arief's story, the ups and downs of the market, I don't know. Do you guys have anything to like?
The business models change all the time. So from in-app purchase to rewarded video to VR, I think you want to hang on to the core of what your team is good at. So as I said, we're good at delivering like very good casual experiences. And you know, like 5-6 years ago, this used to be premium PC, try before you buy. We moved to mobile, and now it's free to play. It may be a different business model in 2-3 years, but there still should be the core of what you think you can deliver better than anyone else, like among those different experiences. That proposition shouldn't change, or then you wouldn't be the best in the world at it.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rocky. I'm from Touch 10. I think what makes a great workplace to be in are its people, are its talents. And so I'm wondering, you have built an amazing team, each of you. I'm wondering if you could share a bit of best practices or any insights when it comes to attracting and developing your talents.
I'll share a little bit of this because it's something I really believe in. So I would say annual turnover is less than 10%. The 5 founders who started Altitude Games have worked together for over 10 years in different companies before we put up our company. And we really believe that like the talent is the heart of the studio, and we optimize for the talent and not for the company itself. So we can see that in our policies. So we have what we call an 80% remote structure. We have a small office in Makati, in the Central Business District of Manila, but like no one has to actually be there. All of our workflow is done online, monitoring, just production, everything is done remotely, and people can pretty much work anywhere they want, like as long as they're getting work done. And this gives the freedom and the creativity for the person to do their best, to do their job as best they see fit. And it also gives a very high amount of sense of ownership in the product being made. For the unannounced game that we have that we're developing now, it was born out of a hackathon that we had inside the company, where we wanted the designers to come up with a game of a particular genre, and even the non-designers gave their own pitches, and we ended up choosing a really good design, and now we're able to develop that project and actually sign it with the publisher.
Well, for us, I think it's more on the reputation that we built from day one. So like everyone know that there are so many failures. Like I think the success percentage is actually lower than 10% if you really look at the data. So we've been quite persistent and building up the brand, and then make sure the games quality is there, and that actually helped us to engage some of the developers locally in Malaysia, and they really seeing that potentials. Expanding and get our name out there. So those are the things that I think helps to us to engage the employees. Yeah.
For our case, maybe because my background is engineer, I will put it more like a framework. There is a funnel in the HR resources. It's attract, engage, and retain. And then you could see, let's say this is a funnel, and then there's the foundation is a policy and also culture. In the funnel side for attract, what we do is actually we are really focusing on the brand. So we even go to the scale, like we build academy teams that go to the campus and then build the brand, like do a seminar, working with the student. We even help them with the script, how to say their thesis. So we know that which one is the best student. So we kind of like engage them before they graduate. And then what we also need to do good in the attract is how we select people. It's best if we have a lot of layer of selection, so that people feel that it's very, very hard to get there. Even though you just the first layer is like simple test, and the second layer they need to build a 1 page of essay, and then after that they need to do psycho test. We have a very, very lots of layers. Like people will I think acceptance rates are in 30-1 or 20-1 in the company. So people will feel like it's very, very hard to get there. And then after that, there's an onboarding process. It's a part of the engage. What we do is we have a 3 months probation period. And I think one key tips here is that this one is very good. We get it from PayPal. everybody here will still be remember their first day come to school, like maybe like elementary school or maybe senior high school. You always remember your first day, but you didn't remember your second day. So the key trick is that you script your first day. So for everybody that come to your company, the first day is all scenario based. Hi, I'm Arief, nice to meet you. All scripted. So yeah, that's also a very good thing. So we have a one-day script, like what they will do, like this at this time they do this, they do this, they do this. It's also very good to track. And then in the engage part, we do like personality tests, and then we also ask like what's their main motivation to work. It's different. Like some people just want to have a good time in the work. For example, after work we have a party. Another one is that because I'm very motivated person, I want to learn. So give them access to learn. They will be motivated. They will be engaged. So it's also like a lot of knowledge also here. And the retain part, mainly if you have a very good mission of the company, you just ensure that everybody on the team align with the mission. In the probation period, we have one moment where some group of people will talk with the leadership team of the company to align the mission. So we ask like, what's your personal mission? Whether it aligns with the company mission. If it's aligned, then he will be in the long run. And then the other part, you could do it with policy, for example, like stock option policy and then reward policy, grading system. We copy the Microsoft grading system, so it's pretty okay. Just copy a lot of system. It's good, yeah.
Is there any game that you want people to check out, I don't know, in your portfolio after this? Which one sort of encapsulates the learning experience that you've had?
I think we have a new game called Dungeon Chef. So it's a mix between chef, like appointment mechanic, cooking mechanic, and also dungeon exploration. It's called Dungeon Chef. I think it's in beta. Yeah. So please try and give us feedback.
For us, we have released a new game a couple months ago, Alien Path. So it's a game that we have spent most of time actually on it. I think we spent about 2.5 years. And we just get it done early this year and then released 2 months ago. So it's a strategy puzzle game. It's very deep. It's a casual game, but it's very deep. So you can try it out. And at the moment, we are still improving the games. It's not monetizing as well as the Crab Wall, but it's doing pretty good. So there's still a lot of room to improve, something that we are working hard on it as well. So this is another IP that we have.
All right, I guess, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all. Thanks for the panel.